Meeting's over. Meeting's adjourned. We are joined by the almost joined by the head football coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, who will be taking that program to Atlanta, Georgia. It's the first time that they've played in this kickoff game as Virginia Tech awaits them here in just a few weeks. It's been a long this game, but a lot of people have wanted to play this game for a long, long time. So we're going to talk to Shane about that. Good morning, Coach. I know we just pulled you out of a meeting. You got more important things to do, but we're glad you're here. How are you?
I'm great. Sorry. Some technical difficulties a little bit, and then had a meeting, and then the other meeting was actually a meeting with a golf recruit. So as much as I love you guys, getting golf and potential golf recruits are a little bit higher on my priority right now.
That's okay, man. That's all right. Well, here, look, before we go any further, I'm sure you maybe when you have these meetings with recruits, whether they're golf, football, swimming, whatever they pull you in for, you show them the before and after photos, right, of your guys. And so we've got a couple. I just want to get a couple quick thoughts on this before we move on. Let's get to the important stuff, So you got Luke Day and his program and what they're doing with your football players. You got Mo Brown. Mo Brown kind of looks like a robot or something there. Phil will kind of flip through him here. I don't know who's coming up next. Maybe Nick Harbor, coach. We got Nick. He's chiseled 12, 13 abs showing there. I think we got one more, Jordan Gidron. Look at that. He's not a freshman anymore. We got maybe another one here somewhere. This is that's Robert. I'm not sure who Robert is and how he got in there. Robert lost his glasses in 2 weeks. Okay, move on from him. We got one more here. Now this guy. Who is this guy?
Wow.
We didn't have him on the roster. Who is this guy?
Yeah, I wish that body was actually the real body on the guy on the right. Real picture on the left. Unfortunately, as much as I think I may look like that, I don't think I really look like that. The picture on the right, but
you're in better shape than Robert.
Yeah, stay pretty active and exercise regularly. But I don't know if I'm quite to that. I like that. But no, it's a great testament to our strength and conditioning staff, what they're able to do with guys, and not just them, but we talk a lot about development in this program. And when you see those pictures, that's a reflection of our nutrition program, our training room, our weight room, what we're doing with our the football aspect of it, and then the players in general and just the habits they have outside this building as well.
Even that quarterback Uncle Rico pose. Do y'all work on that?
Yeah, what is it? I can throw a football over the side of that mountain over there. Whatever it is. Yeah, we work on all that.
That's right. That's exactly right. All right. Well, we're going to try to run the gamut with you as quickly as we can and get you back to work. Mike and I both have a bunch of things to go over. Obviously, not going to ask you for an update on Faison. If there's an update, we would all know about that. But we were a little bit curious about what happened from day 1 to day 2 last week because I know he was kind of hanging around but wasn't cleared to go. Then the school got him cleared to go on game 2, so he was able to practice. So I wanted to ask you about that, but also about your staff. Like, how do you prepare with a guy who you brought in to be a major part of your program in limbo all off season?
Yeah, in regards to day 1 to day 2, it was one of those things. As I told the media when I met with him a couple times last week, we were full speed ahead and planning on him practicing. And I think I met with the media on whatever the report day was, Thursday, and then Thursday night got word that he would not be allowed to practice. So then we immediately filed a waiver to allow him to practice. We didn't get that waiver back in time for practice 1, but we did get the waiver back in time for practice 2. So that's why he was out there for the second practice. And then in regards to how you prepare, we're fortunate that we're early in camp. We're not game planning right now. We're not getting ready for Virginia Tech, so to speak, every single day. Right now, still is just trying to prepare your team. And it stinks not having him out there or not knowing exactly what his status is going to be, but he's around. We got other running backs, whether he's able to be eligible or not. There's other running backs that we're going to rely on this year as well. He's going to be a big piece of it, certainly. But I like that running back room, and we continue to try and get everyone in that room better, Rahsul included, and worry about what we can control. And right now, that's just trying to get the running back room and the team prepared as best we can.
Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just going to ask. First of all, Shane, good to have you on. Good to talk to you. It's been a while for me personally, but
Good to see you, Mike.
Absolutely. Talk about the progress. I mean, so often you see the biggest progress in a starting quarterback is from his first year as a full-time starter to year 2. So obviously, Lenoris showed a lot of things to be excited about in year 1. But what are the things you are anticipating and hoping for as the biggest improvements in year 2?
I would say just the understanding of the offense in general, which should happen. I mean, anybody that's in the system for another year should be more comfortable, whether it be quarterback, running back, offensive line, tight end, wide receiver, whatever. But when I say that specifically with Lenore, it's just understanding where the answers are when pressure comes, knowing even quicker than what he did last year when to get rid of the ball, when he's protected, when he's not protected, if he's not protected, where the ball needs to go, just things like that. Like he had some amazing plays with his feet last year, and certainly he will this season as well. But on a lot of those plays, maybe before they turned into great scrambles or long runs, it could have been completion or whatever it might be. So just the overall understanding of everything with the offense, which is going to be natural for any player that's in their second year as a starter, and then just continuing to elevate the guys around him on that offense.
Well, obviously Mike will be calling the plays this year, Mike Shula. How do you define Mike Shula as an offensive coordinator?
Great person first and foremost, and it was an easy decision for me to promote him from within. If you look at his resume, in so many ways, he's overqualified for the job of offensive coordinator. You talk about a guy that's played the game. It's a great relationship he has with Lenoris because Mike has literally been in his shoes as a starting quarterback in the SEC. He's been in my shoes as a head football coach in the SEC. He's called plays in the Super Bowl. He's coached multiple quarterbacks of different styles. But I think Mike's very good about making the system easy for the quarterback to understand. And like any offensive coordinator, any coach, you want to, maximize the strengths of your offense, the strengths of your team. And that's what he's trying to do as we go through preseason camp and getting a great feel for the personnel on this team and on our offense and figuring out what guys do well. And then each and every week, figuring out the best way for us to, be multiple and be successful on Saturdays.
Yeah. I was watching Sterling on Saturday get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I'm sure I don't know if you watched it or not, but obviously you know all about it. And Sterling, one of the things that he mentioned, I think he was talking about John Gruden and how he was never compared. They never mentioned Sterling Sharp and Jerry Rice in the same sentence. You know what I mean? If you remember what he was talking about there, he was like, that was one of the great services that ever happened to me as a pro. We never, everybody compared us, but my position coach didn't. Oh, well, this is how Jerry does it or whatever. In a little bit of a similar situation here, you've got a guy in Coach Shula, right, who's coached tons of incredible quarterbacks. And since you named him as the offensive coordinator, there's been so many people who've tried to draw comparisons of Lenoris Sellers to some of those guys whom he has coached in his career. I don't know if that's fair to Lenoris Sellers. I'm not really asking that or anything like that, but how does Mike Shula handle that? How does he lean on the guys that he has coached in his career and be able to take some of that and help better Lenoris Sellers?
Yeah, I think that was one thing that attracted me to Mike when we brought him into our program was his experience with those guys and looking at his background. And most recently, he worked with a big athletic quarterback in Cam Newton. He's been around a big athletic quarterback in Daniel Jones. He was around a big athletic quarterback in Josh Allen and how those teams that he was a part of utilized those guys. That was appealing a couple of years ago, and it still is now. I mean, he's not sitting here saying that they're cutting their cookie cutter the same quarterback because they're not. But some of the things, whether it be personality wise, schematically, that you can draw comparisons to, and for him to be able to say, we did this with Cam in Carolina, in Charlotte, when he was with the Panthers, and maybe we could do something similar with Lenoris and things like that. I think that's good. I think it's good for Lenoris. Just, Mike was around a lot of those guys at different stages in their career, either rookies or young or older down the road, whatever it might be. So there's a lot of experience that Coach Shula has, and that's beneficial for all of us involved in our program, not just Lenoris.
Coach, you look.
Yeah. Go ahead. Nope, you're good, Mike.
All right, I was just going to say, you look around the SEC, and there's a lot of teams that, if you look at the wide receiving room, there's returning production. So you can kind of, even though coaches aren't releasing depth charts right now, you can be like, oh, well, clearly that's 1A, that's 1B. You're in a unique situation. You've got a lot of momentum in getting the type of wide receivers this program covets, right? More and more weapons. By the same token, it's not a fresh slate. You have some returning guys, but there's not a bunch of guys with like eye-popping numbers that you say, well, clearly he's going to be our alpha, what have you. And then, of course, there's the ultimate wild card in Nick Harbor. So as we sit here in early August, where do you see the wide receiving room now, and where do you hope it's going to be by August 30th?
Yeah, great potential in that room. You look at our offense, we got to replace a major part of it in the receiving game, and that being tight end Josh Simon, who's not with us anymore. And he did so much for us in the passing game last season. But when I look at it, Mike, I see the guys that we do bring back, and it wasn't eye-popping numbers, but it's guys that have played, a lot of football. When you talk about Nick Harbor, you talk about Mazeo Bennett, you talk about Jared Brown. Those guys are still young in a lot of ways, particularly Mazeo in his second year in the program. But those are guys that are old and they've got experience in this league. And then you take the freshmen that we've brought in. It's a talented group, but you also got to keep in mind they're freshmen that they're going to 7 of them, I guess, that are going to be potentially playing in their first college football game ever in a few weeks, the ones that do play. So we got to keep that in mind. But for us right now, you watch them, and there's size that we haven't had before. There's an overall talent aspect of it that is more than we've had during my time here in Columbia. And then for us, it's just right now, early stages of preseason camp. We had practice 3 yesterday. Dave practice 4 tomorrow. It's let's get these guys as good as we can. And then now and as we go, let's figure out who those top 6 to 8 guys are that we're really going to go to work with here as we get ready to play Virginia Tech and get those guys ready to go, but also understanding that whole group, they're all just going to continue to get better throughout the season as well.
Yeah. How do you set those expectations for when you have so many young guys that want to play football, Coach? How do you handle that?
Yeah. Got to do a great job of just understanding that, there's only one ball that goes around and you all want to play and you all want the ball. And it's not just at wide receiver, it's running back, it's tight end. We've had that conversation as a coaching staff that I'm excited about the young talent on this team, but there's also a dynamic that we haven't dealt with before. And that's a lot of guys that are really good players that all want to play and all want the ball. And that's a good problem to have when you have talented guys that feel that way. I want them to, but, also understanding that it's ultimately about what gives us the best opportunity to win games. And there's going to be some weeks where a receiver may catch 8 passes, and there may be some weeks where he doesn't catch any. But understanding that each week's different, and we need everybody, and building that team dynamic, and starts with me as the head coach, and then those position coaches, they have to do a great job in their rooms of managing those personalities as well. But any team with good players, high school, college, NFL, is going to deal with that, and it's certainly, like I said, a good problem to have.
Coach, it's hard to imagine a team or a program that has an imprint on special teams without the last name Beamer, the way you and your dad have been able to it's in the DNA. People look at South Carolina on the schedule and they're like, oh crap, we've got to do extra prep time for special teams because of the way you've been able to excel there in so many areas. You addressed this at media days. This is unique though. You replace everybody. I mean, it's you've never seen anything like this in terms of turnovers. So how important are these next 4 weeks to really get those guys game ready to do all the things, not just making the spectacular trick play, but avoiding the bad play that very often can cost you a game.
Yeah, really important. You look around, as you look around college football as games kick off here in the next few weeks. Just as you're watching games, just pay attention to how many big special teams plays happen in those games, and because I'll jump on my soapbox again. We're the only sport in any level of athletics or any sport that doesn't get a preseason game or scrimmage or whatever against another team. So for us, it's 4 weeks of practicing against ourselves, and then you go play a game for real because we don't play other teams, which it would be great to go have an exhibition game against NC State and Charlotte, and those guys can get kicks and punts and snaps and all that in front of a live crowd. But we're not allowed to. So we've got to do a great job of, one, schematically making sure that we're ready to go, because we've had some big special teams plays in game ones in my time here. Eastern Illinois, my first year as the head coach, I think we blocked a punt that night. And Georgia State, the next year, we blocked 2 punts for touchdowns in the first game. And then year 3 against North Carolina, I think we had a onside kick that we recovered in that game and whatnot. So, last year we weren't very good. We gave up a partially blocked punt in game 1 against Old Dominion as well. So we've got to make sure schematically we're ready to go because of the importance of special teams, especially in first games. But then it's definitely a different dynamic for us this year because we have all new specialists and they're talented guys. But because we don't get a exhibition game as the head coach and our coaching staff, we've got to do the best we can of putting those guys in as many pressure situations as we can. So when they get to game day on August 31st in Atlanta, they're a little bit better prepared for it. And that started, Mike, back in the spring. I mean, if you guys were at the spring game, I got on the microphone and on the whole PA system in the stadium, brought 3 kickers out and basically just had a kickoff, field goal competition in front of the whole stadium with the players around them. So the more we can do that stuff, the better. And they're made of the right stuff. That's the one thing that excites me is our specialists this year. They're football guys, meaning there's kickers, punters that I've been around sometimes that they're just a little different. And these guys are like football guys, and that's the best ones I've been around. Spencer Lanning, Ryan Suckups, the Ryan Suckups of the world. Those guys, they were good football players, just real dudes, if you will. And that's kind of what we got with this crew. So I'm excited to see them perform here at the end of the month.
Can the inexperience of some of these specialists, can that kind of dictate some of how y'all manage a football game, especially early in the season?
Possibly. We'll see where it is. I think you always going into a game, it's you want to do what best gives you the chance to win. And I wouldn't say the inexperience of the specialists specifically. I think you look around the whole team. There's going to be, like we just said, there's a potential when you look around our team, there's going to be multiple true freshmen, I feel like, playing meaningful roles in that game on offense, defense, and special teams. So understanding they're freshmen and they're young, and let's not put these guys in bad positions as best we can help it. Will certainly be a part of our plan as we go into it.
All right, defensively, I want to ask you a question. I've been thinking about how to ask this the right way. First of all, the respectful way and appropriate. Clearly, so a few years ago, you had to go out and make a change at offensive coordinator, and you brought in Dowell Loggins, right? And then, but since day one, Clayton White has been your DC at Carolina, and it's obviously no secret. Anybody that's watched the games of the Shane Beamer era, there's been some tough ball games that y'all gone through on that side of the football. But in the last 16, not so much. 15.44 points per game allowed, which is second in the SEC. To Ole Miss, and that really changed right around, I think it was like Veterans Day of 2023. Y'all defensively, you kind of got into a groove, and last year we know what happened. What was it? Why did you stand by Clayton White? When I know you heard it. Everybody heard it. From fans and media pointing out this and that and whatever it was, and this defense and that defense and this kid and that kid. But you did not shake at all. Clayton White was your guy, and obviously that is paid off.
Yeah, I think it's just you look at the total body of work, and I know we went through a tough stretch in 23 where we struggled to stop some people, and we had some leads in the fourth quarter that we didn't maintain and lost some games in 23. But also, I knew kind of person he is. I know the kind of coach he is. I don't just look at a 3, 4, 5 game body of work. You look at the whole body of work, and you look at the big picture. And I'm in those defensive meetings, and I know why we were calling things, and I know what was being called. And I just felt like, you got the right person, you got the right staff, and just continue to support those guys and give them the chance to be successful. And then, not that I have all the answers, Jamie, but I just think some coaches are just quick to, all right, thing goes well, bam, let's fire somebody, let's get the next guy in. Sometimes
you're right.
Sometimes you have the right person in your building, and you just maybe got off course. And Luke Day, our strength coach, another one that people wanted me to run out of town 2 years ago after the 23 season. But when he uses the expression all the time, course correct. And I believe that when you have the right people, right coach in your building, staff member, and maybe you've gotten off course, okay, let's get back on course and course correct, and be willing to have tough conversations, which Clayton and I had, or Luke and I had, or anyone. And let's get back on course. But that was the biggest thing. We play some pretty good defense around here too in our time, and you're going to have days that maybe don't go your way, but let's figure out what the answers are and get them fixed. And when there's times that you have to make a change, and that means replacing a staff member, which I've done too. Those are, not fun, but you always do and my mindset is always to do what is best for the South Carolina football program. And a lot of times that means continue to do what you're doing, but just do it differently and do it better.
He hit the nail on the head, because we see, if you've been covering college football for 30 years, there's so many coaches who just can't wait to throw out the sacrificial lamb to say, especially a young guy. I mean, this is your first head coaching job, and Coach Beamer stuck through it. I thought, you look at it today, this defense would be nowhere near where it is had you made some sort of change like that back then. I just think it's a very important point for your program that should be made.
I appreciate it. And I think continuity is big too. I mean, when I looked at it, okay, we had, you're talking about 2023, and we went through a stretch where I think we blew a 2-touchdown lead to Florida in the fourth quarter. And we got into a shootout, I think, with Jacksonville State. We had a lot of stuff like that as well. But it's one of those where I looked at what we had coming back in 2024 and said, what is the best thing for Debo Williams and all these guys that are going to be potentially returning to have to learn a whole new defensive system? I'm not saying that you always build that, but you look at the whole picture. And sometimes continuity is better than starting over.
Well, that is so true. We've lost a lot of that with players too, obviously with the portal. But growing up, it was your dad and his staff, and Bud Foster, and it was Mickey Andrews at Florida State. You associated the head coach with longtime coordinators. That's changed. I use the analogy, a Monopoly analogy, when coaches come off a bad year and they just start firing coaches, the get out of jail free card. Well, it couldn't have been me. It was all his fault. Now that we got rid of him, now everything's great. But you've done a great job of kind of standing by your guys, not just in the good times, but adversity as well. Let's stay with that side of the ball. You've got a special talent in Dylan Stewart, obviously, for presumably 2 years. Last year, I thought that defensive line was unblockable because it was pick your poison. It was just absolute horses up the middle. It was 2 different defensive ends that if you double one, the other one's going to have a field day. How do you take some of the pressure off of Stewart, just looking up at double and triple teams all year? Who are the guys that are going to have to be this year's Robin to Batman, so to speak, to help him run free more?
Yeah, it starts with us as coaches that looking at it. All right, we know that that teams are going to go into a game each week saying, all right, we need to figure out a way to not let number 6 affect our quarterback and our offense. So understanding that as coaches and doing things schematically to help Dylan, but then also we've recruited well, and it's time now for those other guys, and it's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that have been around our program for a little bit. The Brian Thomases, the Desmond Umeazulus, the JT Gears of the world. They've been here for a minute, and they're excited. We've brought some transfers in. We've brought some freshmen in along the defensive line that, I think they're excited that they see what Kyle Kennard did last year, and they hear all the talk about how you're going to replace Kyle Kennard and this and that. And I think those guys are very motivated to go out there and get their opportunity this year.
All right. I know you'll get you out in just a couple minutes. Are there any position battles? I don't know how much you generally learn or what do you look for in the first few days of camp, Coach, but now that we're a few days in, are there any battles that stand out more than others right now as you're preparing for the season?
No, I think there's a lot of them, to be honest with you. I mean, you look at everywhere, it's there's great competition at all of our positions. And obviously there's a battle for punter and kicker, that starting with special teams, and long snapper and holder. Those are positions that we're competing at. Backup quarterback, certainly. What that wide receiver rotation looks like. Who are our top offensive linemen? There's a lot of – I'd look at every position really and say there's unique battles going on within that, and I've been excited to watch them all.
Well, you recruited Doty in what, 07, right? When your first year here?
Yeah.
He's been around right about as long as you have.
Something like that.
So you mentioned last week if you had to play today and Lenore's had to come out, you'd trot Luke in there. Mm-hmm. Just out of curiosity, why? And what are the guys, the Aaron Nolans and the Cutter Woods and those guys, what are they doing to try to get into that, or to pass him on the depth chart, get into that conversation?
Yeah, they're doing a good job. Aaron and Cutter, they're young, and Luke's been in our program. He's got an experience. He's a leader on this team. The players respect him. They rally around him. He's got an edge to him. He's started games at quarterback in the SEC, and he's improved as a quarterback. So that's what I see. And then there's great competition with Aaron Cutter right now as well to continue to push that whole group and make themselves better as well.
All right. You're going to watch the Netflix special tomorrow. This was important to your program. I think it's pretty prominent, right?
Yeah, I'll watch it at some point. We're going to be featured on it prominently. I think they did a great job with it, the little snippets that I've seen. I don't know how much I'll be watching it this week. Our schedule's pretty packed during preseason camp, so there's not much time for anything other than football and going home and going right to bed. But at some point, I'll peek at it.
Okay. Coach, one quick last one on scheduling, because I know you're a major voice in the room on this. Every coach has opinions on it. I think it's such a welcome to have an opponent like Virginia Tech, neutral field game in week 1. No offense to Old Dominion. It has everybody pumped up. I'm sure you've got the players focused. With all the talk about 8 versus 9, a potential matchup with the Big Ten, you've always got Clemson at the end. That's not changing. Where do you stand on the future of scheduling in the SEC and as it pertains specifically to South Carolina?
Yeah, I'll say what I've always said. I'm all for competition. It's a core value of this program. I'm all for competition. If it's 9 games, great. It's 9 games. But all 9 games all schedules in the SEC, for example, aren't created equally because we play Clemson every year. I don't want to stop doing that. Florida plays Florida State, Georgia plays Georgia Tech, and Kentucky plays Louisville. Those are SEC, ACC matchups. The other, whatever it is, 11 teams in this conference, they don't have that non-conference matchup. And it's not just that. We've got future schedules with Miami, North Carolina, NC State. So if you count Clemson as a Power 4 team, which I do, and we have another schedule with those other teams, if we go to a 9-game SEC schedule, great. Well, we're playing 11 Power 4 games a year, which I'm all for, as long as the other schools in this league are doing the same thing, because it would be, I said this at SEC Media Day in Destin, it would be like the Kansas City Chiefs playing 17 NFL regular season games, and then LA Chargers playing 16, and then they get to go play another team that's not in the NFL. Nobody would sign up for that, and I don't know why we would either.
That's a great point. I mean, who knows when those conversations resume? We know this. The next one is a Power 4 game. It's Virginia Tech, and it's South Carolina on August the 31st in Atlanta, Georgia. We look forward to seeing you there. Always appreciate your time, man. I know you're busy, but you always squeeze it in. This is our 5th year in a row, and this is good. We'll keep the streak going here. Next year, we'll look back on the photo this year of you throwing that football over the mountains, and we'll see where your body fat mass is next go around. Okay.
Love it. Always appreciate you guys. Keep up the great work.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shane.
Tell
See you
Steve
guys.
thank you as well. Thanks, Shane. See you, man.
Thanks.
There you go, Shane Beamer.